Greetings everyone, I'm Dr. Kelly Brennan for the COM 111 class, Public Speaking. I'm coming to you to speak to you about one of our assignments known as the Vocal Dynamics Presentation. I think out of all the opportunities to come up here and to give any kind of a presentation, this is probably the most enjoyable for some students and maybe even the easiest. The Vocal Dynamics Presentation deals with one of the most powerful instruments that we have in public speaking. The voice. And I'm not talking about the show. The voice that we have as a speaker is how we convey our ideas and our thoughts and our feelings to others. And those who are separated from being great speakers to mediocre is not so much what they said, but the how they said it, which is delivery. In fact, Aristotle was once asked, what's more important, content or delivery? And without missing a beat, he responded, delivery. And what's really interesting is that after a speech, the audience tends to forget half of everything the speaker said immediately. And within about 24 to 48 hours, they forget half of the half that the speaker said, but they remember closer to 100% how the speaker delivered the speech, because it goes to how the audience feels. If you can get them laughing or crying or anything in between in this roller coaster of emotions, it's what Aristotle called pathos, the emotional connection. So this assignment is designed to help develop your ability to be able to use that powerful instrument known as the voice. We used to call this interpretation or interp. In fact, way before television, most Americans got their entertainment from sitting around the big old RCA radios and listening to interp theater or readers theater. People like Orson Welles and many others give stories, and it was like we could almost see it in our mind's eye. And it was because of the way they delivered it. So this presentation, I will just let you know some of the mechanics. It's worth 100 points. Students will have a time parameter of 3 to 5 minutes. You could go as little as 2.5, but no more than 5.5 with that grace period under or over. I want to bring your attention to here. This assignment examines the vocal qualities and the characteristics of the student's presentation. In other words, I'm not going to grade you on content. You could read the phone book to me. Just make it sound good. So on this assignment, you can pick anything you like. Children's literature, like a Dr. Seuss book, Shel Silverstein. You can do an excerpt out of a play or a movie out of a book. You can recite poetry. You can do song lyrics. You can even sing if you want to. You wouldn't want me to sing, though. But in either event, assessment means this is what I'm going to grade you on. Assessment is based upon organization, presentation, and fluidity. Fluidity is what we call the ebb and flow. When someone knows their presentation well enough, there's a certain flow that goes to it. A choppy delivery shows that we're not really prepared, and we want to look at fluidity. So when we look at this assignment, one of the very first things to do is to find what you want to present. Now, if it's really too long, you can either do an excerpt or you can edit, which means you take out a paragraph here or a page there and make it fit the time parameter of this assignment. Now, here is the organization that I'm going to be grading you on. In the very beginning, you have a teaser. This is not a teaser. Hi, everyone. I'm going to do Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. No, that's an announcement. A teaser would be like taking a sentence or two out from anywhere you want from your presentation as a hook or as an attention getter. And then once you've done that, pause for a minute and then give us what we call the introduction. The introduction would be like, today I have selected one of my favorite children's literature pieces known as Green Eggs and Ham by one of my favorite authors, Theodore Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss. I've chosen this selection because this was a book that my mother read to me as a child, and it became one of my favorites. Today, I present to you Dr. Seuss' Green Eggs and Ham. Then after that, go into reading of the story. I am not going to grade you at all on how you're dressed, so don't dress up. I'm not going to grade you at all visually. So if you want to read the book, you want to sit down, you want to even lay down on the ground, I don't care. Because if you watch me, not on all of you, but when we go to do these, for some of you, I might just have my head turned, my eyes closed, because I'm thinking if I were listening to this on the radio, much like the old Interp theater or Reader's theater in the past, what are the peaks and the valleys of your voice? How are you delivering this? Now, when you look at this slide, it says 15 seconds for the teaser, 30 for the introduction, 3 to 4 minutes for the body. These are just suggestions. I mean, yes, you want to spend the majority of your time here. Second, majority of your time here. Not so much here. I've seen teasers as short as 1 second. I had a student years ago who had a collection, like three different poems by her favorite poet, Maya Angelou. And all 3 of these poems dealt with the same theme, and that was the last cycle of life, known as death. So she had put these poems together, and one other thing, if you put 2 or more different selections together, it's okay to write what we call a transitional sentence, connecting one piece of literature to another to make it sound or flow like one entire selection. So her teaser was, she opened the book, she put it to her chest, and then she looked at everyone, and I can't do it the way she did it, but she kind of leaned forward and said, "Death!" And then she put her book out here and she said, in a collection of poems by my favorite poets, Maya Angelou, we see that these poems deal with the last season of life, known as death. I chose these poems because I had an uncle who passed away a little over a year ago, and I miss him. And these poems make me think of him. So I present to you these poems on death by Maya Angelou. And then she went right into them. It was perfect. So the teaser just pulls us in. In the introduction, tell us what you've chosen. So in other words, the title. Tell us who the author is and the reason why you chose it. And then just go into the reading of the rest of the material. Now, I've had students say, can I take a little section out of what I'm reading, put that in the teaser, and say it in the teaser, even though I'm going to say it again in the body? Yes, that's okay to do. Now, one thing I want you to know is that you don't have to find something that's published. In fact, if you've written your own literature, whether it's short stories or poetry or song lyrics, you can use your own written material if you like. That's up to you. Okay, now, remember the teasers to grab and pull the audience into your speech. Again, the introduction is to tell us what you've chosen, who it's by, why you chose it, and then again, the rest of your time is giving us the piece of literature. Okay, let's move on. So always select material that you like, edit it or cut it down if it needs to be, otherwise just take an excerpt. And let me pause here for a second. If you take an excerpt out of a movie or out of a book, you want to set it up. Yes, you can grab our attention with the teaser, and then in your introduction you can say, as one of my students did in the past, his teaser was, "You can't handle the truth." And then he paused and he said, in the movie, A Few Good Men, we see a military lawyer, played by Tom Cruise, cross-examining a 5-star general who was played by Jack Nicholson. In this scene from this movie, we are in the courtroom, and the lawyer is cross-examining the general and trying to get him to admit that he had placed the order that he had placed. And we'll take a look at this scene in the movie A Few Good Men. And then he went right into that scene. It was great. On the very bottom, know your material or manuscript. It's called internalize, internalize, internalize. Not that you have to memorize it, and by the way, if you do, you get an extra 10% extra credit. Stay in time. It really kills me when students do a great job on their interpretive presentation. Rarely are they under. Most of the time they're over. And it kills me to go, awesome job. Oh, by the way, you went 2 minutes over. You lose 20%. The literature should always fit the interpreter. In other words, if you love comedy, find something comedic. Now, I just want to make this point. If somebody chooses something that's dark, doesn't mean that they're a dark and dreary person. I'm just saying, find something that you resonate with. It can be anything. Okay. So, if you want to know what consists of inter, it's these areas. Prose are things out of a book. Drama are like plays, television shows, movies. Poetry is pretty self-explanatory. POI, program, oral, inter. It means a combination. For example, I had a student who took a short poem as their teaser. And then they did the introduction to a short story that they gave. So they took two different pieces, combined it into one. We call that a program oral inter, or better known as POI. Okay, so to wrap this up, the interpretive presentation is worth 100 points. You are graded on presentation, nothing visually. You're not graded on contents, so don't dress up. If you do want to, again, earn 10% extra credit, memorize your manuscript. I will not grade you on eye contact. Completely vocal presentation. So again, examine the vocal qualities and characteristics of your overall presentation. So again, assessment or grading will be based upon the organization. Again, teaser, introduction, body, overall presentation, that is how you present it, and again, fluidity, the ebb and flow. This can be a very enjoyable presentation. It's not meant to be a difficult assignment. You should be able to pick something relatively quick and then just go and rehearse it. And here's a little tip. If you're going to pick maybe even a children's literature piece, envision the audience being a bunch of 4 or 5-year-olds. How would you make the character or characters come alive? All right, I hope you have all the information that you need. I look forward to hearing these. Take care.